Aloha, spooky nerds, and welcome to Talking Strange, a paranormal pop culture show with the Den of Geek Network, where we discuss the entertainment of the unexplained. As always, I am your host, Aaron Sagers, a journalist, author, researcher of all things weird, and currently I can be seen on Travel Channel on Discovery Plus's Paranormal Caught on Camera. New episodes airing every Thursday at 9 p.m. Now, let me talk a little bit about the guest that we have today. Interestingly enough, we've moved about in the same circles for years and did not get to know one another, even though we had this mutual fascination with the paranormal. And then in the fall, we finally did get to meet, and I was quite pleased to see a kindred nerd spirit of sorts. And ever since then, I've just been excited to bring her on for one of these talks, talk to her with you guys. And you, of course, can currently see her in the hit show Expedition X on the Discovery Channel and Discovery Plus. Previously, she covered pop culture news and events and was a host for Nerdist News Talks Back, the Mothership over at Nerdist.com. And she's made appearances as a judge, as a sideline reporter for BattleBots, and one half of the hosting talent behind the paranormal podcast, The Untold Hour, in Bizarre States and Bizarre States Resurrected. Now, when it comes to Expedition X, that is returning for a new season on Wednesday, May 25th at 9 p.m. I've seen the first episode of the season, and it's really exciting. And that's coming to you on Discovery and Discovery Plus. And she joins scientist Phil Torres, and together they journey from this season icy whitewater rapids in Alaska to the impenetrable jungles of Peru to uncover the truth behind the world's most unusual mysteries. And the all-new season kicks off in the world's notorious Ring of Fire, where they investigate videos and eyewitness reports of mysterious objects flying around Mexico's tallest active volcano. And with that, let me welcome in paranormal researcher, fellow nerd, Jessica Chobot. Jess, hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Good. Hanging out, doing the at home thing.
Yeah,
Kind
that's.
of driving me a little nuts, but
Is it driving you a little bit nuts? Like not globetrotting, just being at home is driving you nuts?
yeah, it's interesting, you're on the road for so long and all you can think about are the comforts of home, and then you get home and it's good for like a week, and then you realize, oh gosh, what am I going to do with myself? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the what are you going to do with yourself mode right now.
Not to overshare, but I was having this precise conversation with my therapist
Yeah.
today, and about how when you're on the road, you don't want to be on the road, and when you're not on the road, you just need to be on the road. And it's like, who am I, and what is my identity, and why am I so broken on the inside?
Yes.
Not
Oddly enough,
saying
I
you
feel
are.
like I've had those exact same conversations with my therapist.
Yeah, yeah, where it's like my job is my identity, but I really like my job.
Wow, there it is. Yep, that's it right there.
Yeah, you could do this. The Chobot Sager's paranormal therapy hour.
It's not probably not a terrible idea.
Oh, I think we could sell it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a weird thing. But well, I'm glad you're able to join us from home, because it'll probably be a little bit harder on the road. The For the paranormal element of things, what was, because yeah, obviously people have followed your career. You've been in the public sphere for a long time,
Mhm.
but what was your initial connection to the paranormal side of things?
So I guess, looking back, you could say that seed was planted probably super hardcore around fifth, sixth grade.
Hmm.
But like definitely a little bit even before that. I remember looking at like my grandpa's Time Life books, Mysteries of the Unknown kind of stuff. And then in middle school it really hit because I would go into the library during lunch time to try and get on Oregon Trail on the computers in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, every once in a while, some other kid would have gotten there first. So, hoping that maybe they would have to go back to their class early, I would stick around in the library. And to pass the time while I was like giving them the evil eye to get off the computer, I would read all these mythology books. And the way that they had the mythology books organized was, you know, you had your Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and then it got into like UFOs and cryptids and just like weird paranormal stuff, all relatively age appropriate, but all new to me. And so that just kind of led down a natural progression of kind of reading into all that stuff. And I don't know, something clicked. I became obsessed. I loved it. And I've always kind of kept a toe in that pond, so to speak, until now, where now I've got the whole shebang in the water.
You're all in. Sometimes literally. Quite
yes,
literally in the water.
Sometimes all in the water. Yes.
Yeah. It's so interesting because my origin story with this is very similar as far as the time life mysteries of the unexplained stuff. And then for me, I went to Catholic school, and as a little tyke in Catholic school, I was likewise a mythology fiend, but I remember going to the Catholic school library at St. Margaret Mary and saying to the sweet librarian, asking about occult books like witchcraft and whatnot, and her directing me to, you know, Sabrina or The Littlest Witch or whatever it was. I'm like, no, like the real deal. Like you know, looking for the Necronomicon or whatever it was. You know, I was like, I wanted the real stuff, which then led to phone calls back to parents. But
yeah, my mom actually found, at one point I started collecting a bunch. I basically made my own book of shadows, so to speak, where I would just go through and any kind of spell that I would stumble across, no matter, you know, relatively where I found it in general, I would write it in this notebook that I kept. And then I kept that and I hid that in a secret, what I considered a secret spot in my room, which in hindsight obviously wasn't secret. But then I'd also go to like we would have neighborhood garage sales, and so I'd go around buying everybody's candles because they were cheap, and then you know, I was by myself, so nobody would question me about it. And then I kept those with the book, and like some I would carve into shapes of people with specific people in mind, and some I wouldn't. And then my parents found it, and they were like, "Oh no." And so I ended up getting rid of all of that. And I regret that in hindsight.
yeah.
But at the time, it was, in my opinion, a survival technique. And so now I'm just unabashedly, now that I'm an adult and I have more self-confidence than I did when I was little, I unabashedly showcase it now. So
were you did these like little rituals and things that you were writing down? I mean, look, acknowledgement, imbuing something with belief, that can make things work according to theory. Did you feel like you were empowered? Did as little Jess, were you empowered by this?
not empowered at that point. I think more curious more than anything else. I didn't really link it to empowerment so much as, oh, what's this thing? And like, okay, well, if I do the thing that the book says, does that actually happen? And oh, do you think that this is real? Like, it was a lot of more curiosity based
Yeah.
than empowerment. I think now when I go through rituals or do things of that nature, there's definitely more of a sense of empowerment there, but the curiosity still is like the main propeller.
Yeah. Do you find yourself, first off, I mean, I'm just thrilled to say that I can count the Scarlet Witch amongst my friends that I can text. So, meaning you, that you're like the real life
I was like,
Scarlet
wow,
Witch.
you really know Elizabeth Olsen.
No, you're like, you're the real deal Scarlet Witch at this point.
Thanks.
Well,
I'll
maybe
take
without the, you know, multiverse destroying proclivities, or maybe you're about to get
Who
to that
knows?
point.
Maybe I just haven't tapped in yet.
Do you actually perform? I mean, do you find yourself leaning towards? So there's this idea of belief versus ideas and theories, right? Believing into something versus being open to it versus like, where do you find yourself while you're doing the show, and then while you're also just moving about the world and encountering this weird stuff, do you find that you actually be like, when you take part in a ritual yourself, do you believe? Do you believe? Yes.
Yeah, I think my belief and my level of belief depends on each situation and what it is I'm trying to accomplish, or what it is that I am that's brought to my attention. So I kind of try to take each thing as individually as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and that is both for the show and my personal life as well. So I do I do a lot of personal study into the occult and the paranormal and witchcraft and all of that. And so, in each of those things, I feel like right now my focus is a lot into the more occult side of things versus witchcraft. I guess yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. I feel like I'm kind of in a transition phase for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just like to educate myself across the board
Yeah.
on things as well. So, that is part of it. For the things in the show, for the things in the show, I feel like as the show's gotten more comfortable with what it is, with each new season, and like Phil and I are more comfortable with ourselves and our roles in the show, and then also how we interact with each other and investigators and other investigators we talk to and whatnot. I feel like we have actually been given a lot more leeway to express our disbelief in some of those versus just hardcore. Well, like, him's a hardcore no, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
hardcore yes all the time. I feel like that's actually been loosened for us, where there's been a few times we've run into things where I'm like, I don't really think that that's what we think it is,
Yeah.
and so that's been nice. So I basically, yeah, I am a believer, but I do feel like I if something just doesn't ring true to me, I feel like I am able to come forth and say, like, nah, I don't know about 100% on this.
Yeah, and you occupy an interesting place on the network because there's Josh's show. Expedition Unknown is really more about mysteries and histories and pursuing those kinds of things. But you're kind of an outlier on Discovery because a lot of the paranormal stuff is on the Travel Channel side, whereas you guys are operating in this space. Is that something that you tend to be cognizant of, that you are this kind of special case there?
No, I never really thought about it like that, but yes, you're totally correct. I guess we just have, because of Phil's science background and then my paranormal enthusiasm, I think we just have like a good foot in
Yeah.
both on both sides of that. So it just kind of like managed to work itself out where it made sense for us to be on Discovery instead of strictly on travel.
Yeah.
But like we've had Amy and Adam from Kindred Spirits over.
Sure.
We've had some of the Ghost Hunter guys over. So like I feel like those two world/channels really meld well with each other. So I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
happy.
And
Honestly, I'm just happy somebody wants and also watches our show.
yeah.
That's
Oh, and I think it's
it. I'm like, yay.
I think it's great. I mean, I actually think that it's a really good and special thing. That's a strength of the
Mhm.
show, that you get to exist over there and kind of be somewhat of a unique example on that network, even though it's obviously all part of the same corporate ownership and all on
Yeah.
Discovery Plus as well. Do you find we are of a similar age,
Mhm.
and is there something about, I kind of have this theory that Gen Xers, that we have maybe more openness to this stuff because perhaps because we were a combination of like the Spielberg, George Lucas kids, and also we grew up in a time of like a certain kind of horror movie, the Wes Cravens, and and then also maybe because we were a generation that was at home alone more, or exploring the woods, or whatever it might be. Do you think that Gen Xers are a little bit more open to this stuff now, or occupy kind of this interesting space of adventure and weirdness compared to other generations?
Kinda. I think I mean, with the way that the paranormal has really taken off, both with Gen Xers and I guess all those generations that came after us, all the way up to, I guess who's I'm losing track,
Where are
Gen
we
Z.
right now?
Where are we right now?
We're
But
we're we're Gen Zers, I think.
Gen Z, yeah. With the I think I guess so. I guess I can't really speak to generations prior to mine so much, but I guess the vibe that I get is maybe Gen Xers are the first ones because of all those things that you mentioned that don't automatically roll their eyes when even if they don't believe in this stuff, don't necessarily automatically, and obviously this is generalization, roll their eyes when they hear about the paranormal or the government releasing more UFO coverage or what have you. I think maybe our generation's the first one, or not the first one, but one that is more accepting of that belief. And even if we don't necessarily believe in it ourselves as an individual, like if somebody came to me, let's just say I wasn't a believer and somebody came to me and was like, I'm really into this stuff, I would find that very interesting whether I believed in it or not. And I think that kind of vibe maybe is a good kind of overview of Generation X. And then everybody below us has really kind of brought that though to the surface with TikTok and YouTube and all this other stuff and podcasts, and how easy it is now for people that felt maybe a little bit isolated about their weirdness to reach out to each other. And it's become this really strong genre that continues to grow. I mean, you've got makeup companies coming up with cryptid themed, makeup lines and things of that nature. So whereas before, everybody would have been like, whatever, and that's so cheap, or that's so stupid. And I just feel like now it's so much more accepted and across the board. And I think it's only going to continue on that way and potentially even grow.
Yeah. And someone in our comments said growing up with the satanic panic of the 80s probably helped with that. I think so. I think that does influence it.
Good point. Yeah.
I think it's it was a poorly phrased question, and I apologize for that, because I think ultimately maybe what I was getting at is, because certainly other generations are into it, but maybe we were the first where exploring this stuff took on a bit of a community feel and a group, a tribe kind of feel. And I think that the same could kind of be applied to nerd culture, where you obviously made a mark as a host with BattleBots, working with Nerdist and everything, where suddenly nerds became cool. With that, when you're looking at your career, the scope of your career, how do you think that you made the transition between the spooky, or between the creepy paranormal stuff, and then the nerd stuff and the paranormal stuff? Because it's not, now it seems like an easier connection and leap, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but that seemed like that could have been a hard sell.
It was. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that look at my jump over to paranormal as being kind of, for lack of a better phrase, like an overnight success kind of thing, where it's like, well, why did she land this show? And we'd never heard of her before this, other than in the gaming space. But what they don't know is, for 10 years, if not more than that, I had been pitching a show called Bizarre States, which was, in my mind at the time, a cross-country road trip going to all these paranormal hotspots. And I was pitching to anyone who would listen, people that would come on to Nerdist as guests for something that had literally nothing to do with what I was gonna, try and pitch them. I would try and pitch them. I mean, I was that annoying person for a while, and I always got rejected. And I'm assuming, this is my assumption, that that's because I was considered the gamer girl. Yeah. And that's what she's good at. She does gaming. She's into tech. Those two worlds cannot collide. She doesn't have experience in this. Without knowing about my own personal background on what I was interested in and what I wanted to do, and what I followed in my free time. And that I finally got to the point where I was just sick of getting rejected. And I realized this isn't going to go anywhere. I don't have a real foothold into this new arena. So I'm just going to kind of create my own, at least to just scratch the itch. And that's where the Bizarre States podcast came from, based off of the TV show that I had been trying to pitch for so long. And so then we just did, Nerdist originally is where we were recording it. And they were like, go ahead and like knock yourself out. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It's not hard, not necessarily easy to do podcasts, but it doesn't take a ton of people. So we were able to go ahead and do what we wanted. And that's really where I made those connections to move into the paranormal space now. So people would come to Nerdist maybe for an interview with, somebody else about gaming or something, some other unrelated topic. And then we would get them on if they were applicable to Bizarre States. So that's how I met Josh. That's how I met Amy and Adam, because for Bizarre States, I think Travel Channel or somebody reached out to us about hosting one of their panels at Comic-Con, since we were already there for Nerdist. So like little tiny chips against that kind of brick wall, until finally like I got an opening. And so I like forced my way in.
Yeah.
That's how it worked out.
And it may have been because people consider you the gamer girl. And I totally get like how those type of typecasting stereotypes work. But it's funny. And again, I kind of think it would have been funny to have known you at that time, because I was having a lot of the same conversations and trying to get things off the ground. And something that I encountered was, I remembered a very specific conversation with someone that was influential in sort of the nerd space, and telling me, no, the paranormal people are weirdos. They're not nerds. They're not fitting in the same group as the comic book people and the sci-fi people and the fantasy people. They're not nerds. That was something that was literally told to me. And I'm like, I could not disagree more. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but that was like, there was this sort of siloing of them off to like, yeah, we're now the cool weird kids, but they're just the weird outsider kids.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've experienced that kind of attitude across the board many different times for many different reasons, whether it's, you're a casual gamer, or you're a girl gamer, or you're paranormal, but you're like, it's all like when you have, it's a tough call. And it's why I try to remain as neutral as possible and as understanding, or at least empathetic as possible. When you're so passionate about your hobby, or your lifestyle or whatever, it becomes sometimes your identity. And I actually think that that's fine. But I also think the flip side is, you kind of, if you're down to go that deep into that rabbit hole, you need to be at least somewhat self-aware enough to not let yourself get blinded to the fact that there's a wide variety of people that like a wide variety of different things at different passion levels. And just because they're not necessarily at your level, or whatever you feel your level is, doesn't make their interest in it null and void.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at for all of this stuff.
Yeah, it's a happier place to be, as opposed to being a angry fan where you try to tell people like, oh, you only like the MCU movies, you're not a real Marvel nerd, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Like when somebody says something that I feel, if somebody comes to me and I feel like, how do I want to phrase this? I don't want to be like, I know more than them. But if to me, it's more fun to have conversations and be like, oh, that's so cool that you like this thing.
Yeah.
Have you tried this thing yet? Have you looked at this thing? Instead of me sitting there and saying, oh, you're doing it wrong, why you're automatically going to make that person defensive and shut them down. You're going to look like an asshole. Oh, are we allowed to swear on here?
You can. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Like, why it takes just as much effort to be like, that's a cool story. So glad you shared that with me. So cool that you're interested in this thing. Have you looked at all these other things?
Sure.
Because then that's just more people to talk to and have fun with. Like, I just don't get the like, I don't know.
No.
Nasty.
Within the paranormal, I've had this conversation with multiple other people, but it's especially amusing to me within the paranormal that people that try to assign rules to the unexplained, this idea of, yeah, I'm totally all in. I believe in ghosts and demons. Sure. Yeah. You know what? Demons are totally real. And aliens, yeah, they're out there, but Bigfoot, no, that's ridiculous. I'm like, you're willing to go this far into it and then put up rules about other things that are not, or people that go into a haunted location and they say, oh no, the ghost does this, it doesn't do that.
Yeah. Like it's a ghost.
Like,
I feel like it could do whatever it wants unless,
right.
whatever. I don't know. I don't know what ghost rules are.
I don't know what ghost rules are, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain ghosts are not, putting up like here's my preferences. I
Yeah.
like the temperature kept at this 30 degrees, whatever. They're not. Yeah. For Expedition X,
Hmm.
heading into this season, so you filmed this after COVID-19 lockdown, or how did this fit within everything happening in the world?
Yeah. This season was once everybody had their boosters. So, we were at that phase of the US COVID-19 stuff. We were all vaccinated and boosted. Um, and so we still traveled in a relatively tight pod, but we did take planes and stuff. It wasn't just strictly a road trip like it was the previous season. And we were able to finally go or not somewhat, we were finally able to go international again. And then in those situations, we would follow that country's COVID-19 protocols. And then also for places where we were going, where we knew that they did not have a ton of interaction with outsiders, we would like double, triple mask and hand sanitize like you wouldn't believe, which is definitely something we would have done anyway. Because we're like, at one point, I'm pretty sure I got a bot fly. At another point, I just like, there's just so much out there you gotta be careful of. So for places where we knew that the residents didn't really have a ton of interaction with like outsiders, that we wanted to just make sure we didn't want to get anybody hurt.
Right.
So we did a good job. Like we kept it going.
What would you say? I mean, I think I remember you mentioning before that you think you may have gotten a bot fly.
Yeah.
What what would you say are your breaking points where, whether it's, bacteria, whether it's foodborne illnesses, or just being freaked out by potential things out there, what are
Mhm.
your breaking points where you're like, you know what? I know this is a job, but ultimately I am filming a TV show and this ain't worth it. Like this,
Yeah.
I got a family to get back to. I don't want to die with, like, what are your breaking points?
There's definitely, well, the absolutely non-negotiable one, which I finally just put my foot down, although I'm sure I'll probably eventually try it again. I am not a fan of helicopters. I hate heights in general. I'm terrified of heights. And when I say heights, I mean it can be something like I start shaking at the top of a ladder. So it doesn't take much. And so helicopters were a big, big struggle for me. So in any of the previous seasons where you see me in a helicopter, just know I'm having a full-blown heart attack. And if you watch me in the background, you can see me occasionally lose my shit. And I'm just like barely hanging on mentally and emotionally by a thread. So helicopters are a big no. Um, I did. I'm trying to think how I can talk. We do have a scene this year where I got over a major, major height hang up situation. And that's because, and this is why I really think that this season really was amazing with not only just Phil and I like getting used to each other more and more every season, but also just the crew and like the people that we were working with. It's because our crew took the time to pull me aside and be like, what can we do with you to make you feel comfortable to at least try this, like at least attempt it. And they truly did listen to me and took those safety precautions in check. And I pulled it off. So I'm really proud of myself for kind of working through my fear. but like extra proud and happy and like thankful that the crew took the time to also kind of hold my hand through it, because that made a huge difference.
Hmm.
So knowing that that is something that they're willing to work with me on, maybe helicopters will come back in the future. I don't know. But yeah, that's the one. And then the flesh-eating disease thing out in Peru was not, I was a little nervous about that too, but
Yeah.
luckily we didn't get it. So
Do you
knock on
this?
wood for that.
Yeah. It's it's the small things, isn't it?
It's the small things.
This first episode, Ring of Fire UFOs, it is in Mexico at I'm gonna try it here. I'm gonna try to say Popocatépetl. No wait, Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl.
I think
Popocatépetl.
you're
El
saying it
Popo.
correctly. You're just, your emphasis on the syllables might be off.
Syllables.
The syllables. I think
Popocatépetl.
it's been a while. I'd have
El
to.
Popo.
El Popo is what we would call it, because we would stumble, or at least I would stumble over that all the time. So I would just call it El Popo. I think there's a few Popo. Oh my gosh! Now you're gonna make me do it. Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl, I think is how you say
Popocatépetl.
it.
Phenomena.
Yeah, when you're in there and you're doing it in real time and you have to say it over and over again, it sticks. And then the minute, at least for me, the
Then you
minute I
lose it.
come home, I like dump all my information that I don't need. Like I
Yeah.
treat my brain like a hard drive and just wipe it clean. And then when these things happen, when I have interviews or like we're finally ready to air the season, I'm like, I don't remember anything. I'm sorry.
So that big volcano.
Yeah, the big volcano. Oh, that one. Actually, I don't even know if you see, but I don't think they have it in the show for the first episode. But that place, first of all, awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool area. Gorgeous. We had a beautiful day. We could see everything was perfect. But then also it's so high up that I started getting what do you call it?
Air sick
Air sickness?
like altitude
Altitude sickness. Yeah.
sickness, yeah.
So I was just sitting there eating lunch. And I didn't realize I was doing it, but I guess I was rocking. And somebody was like, "Are you okay, Jess?" And I'm like, "Am I supposed to feel like I'm on a boat?" And they're like, "Absolutely not." So then they dragged me over to the nurse. We had to do like blood pressure and anti-nausea stuff and all this stuff. But I'm not sure if that makes it into the show or not. But yeah, I've got tons of like little side behind the scenes stories like that I think I might add to like a TikTok at some point.
Yeah. So with this one, what the idea is that there are UFOs that have been documented. Well, something UFO,
Yeah.
I guess UFO in the classic sense, that's been captured on video, and people have claimed seeing, a lot of witnesses claim seeing these strange objects around this volcano. Now I'm not even saying volcano, right? Volcano. And, what was sort of your theory heading into this? Because Phil is taking this from the approach of like, look, I can describe this away as geological, meteorological, whatever. You, as the researcher, what's your theory heading into this? I'm cheating because I've seen the episode, so I know the answer to this.
Yeah, I mean, this one was unique in the sense that we have explored all the other volcanoes where very similar lights have appeared. And, and then the same, because of that, also like Phil's approach is also the same geological potential formations or, earthquake lightning or ash lightning or things of that nature. But if you look at the videos or when you watch the show and watch eyewitness accounts, they look like almost little like balls of light that seem to be moving in a very specific direction. It could, for me, I'm like, okay, so the standard average is these are again just UFOs that are showing over the volcano, like a lot of other volcanoes. So what could the potential reasoning be? And I don't want to give our reason away till you watch the show. But maybe they're coming here for something other than just observation is maybe the best way to describe it. because I feel like a lot of times it's like, oh, well, what's the military doing? Let's watch. Or what's this person doing? Let's watch. Or what's what's going on with the geological surface? Or do they have a base down there? Let's watch. I think that for this, that a somewhat decent, it's worth bringing up. Is maybe they're coming here for something other than just strictly observation
Yeah,
and or interaction.
and there's I think this is shown in the trailer for the episode, but Phil captures something on his FLIR, and then you
Mhm.
have another camera that allows you to see a little bit better in certain environments. Did you walk away thinking that you had that there is something going on up there?
I definitely think there's something going on up there for sure. And I think my reasoning for that is based on a lot of what the eyewitnesses that we had were describing and their backgrounds and their interactions with it specifically. We had great interviews this time around with very, very valid, straightforward, not that previous interviews have ever been non-valid, but I'm like, just like very, very strong backgrounds in that space as to
Yeah.
why they would have their own personal interactions and why and the reasons why they were taking it so seriously. They were taking it from like we have to. I mean, I don't know if this is giving too much away. I don't think so.
I tend to think that with outside of like Game of Thrones and whatnot, we don't have to worry too
Yeah.
much about spoilers when it comes to these shows because I think people that are into the material are
Oh
going to
yeah.
tune in.
I just
But
want to make sure I don't get in trouble or get a call from Discovery a
oh,
couple
well,
weeks
I can
ago. Like,
always
well, what
say
did
it.
you do? And I'm like,
Uh,
well, Aaron said it was all right.
yeah, Aaron said it, so it must be
It was
okay. I mean,
okay. It's fine, right?
I'll I will say at the top of this episode, you interview a gentleman. I forget his exact title, but he's aircraft control
That's where I was gonna go. Yeah.
FAA, but except not FAA.
Yeah.
And this guy is really compelling.
Super compelling, and his reasoning behind why he wants to come forward and talk about this and why he's shining a light on it is not for personal gain or personal curiosity or trying to solve a mystery or anything. Not that those reasons are ever like necessarily a bad reason to pursue trying to find what your truth is, but his specifically is because he's air traffic control, he's got people in planes that he needs to like direct to make sure that they don't crash and die. Like hundreds of people all day. So his biggest concern is safety. Why do we keep because by this volcano there are numerous flight paths and an airport. Like I think I think it's the main Mexico City airport. So that's like they're busy. Like they can't risk having a plane run into something that's unidentified in the sky. So his reasoning of like, I want to make sure that people are safe and I don't want anybody to get hurt when it's my time on the job because of
Mhm.
something that's going on over here that we don't know about and we should be studying, whether it's extraterrestrial or whether it is something geological.
Yeah.
So that reasoning alone really, and he wasn't the only one that had that reason, really helped solidify for me the fact that there is something weird going on over here that has people very nervous as far as like public safety and something that they think really should be investigated and pursued.
It's a strong adventure episode and really compelling when it comes to sort of the exploration and some of the findings that you guys turn up. For
Mhm.
episode 2, the synopsis is that you guys head and you test a bold scientific theory at the site of America's deadliest avalanche and train wreck, where witnesses
Ooh.
report bizarre apparitions and rumors swirl of a shocking cover-up. Anything you can tease about episode 2 or any other episodes down the line that you're excited
Yeah.
for people to check out?
I will say this. Yes. Yeah. This has been the season that I've had the most ghostly interaction where I truly can explain what I heard or saw. Like there's been a lot. We've had two. That's a good one. So when with the train, at one point I heard like next to my ear what sounded like whistling. And we had been in that area where we were exploring, and I know like you can say, well, is it an echo effect? Is it this? Is it that? Blah, 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 blah. And we had been, we're in these locations for a long time, like a 40-minute show. We're in that location for like 14 hours a day, every day for like a week and a half. So we're familiar at some point with what the acoustics sound like, what's the area like we traverse the entire thing. So not once during that entire time did I ever have it happen, except for when we were doing the investigation, where it sounded like somebody literally leaned into my ear and whistled, and there was nobody around me. It just, I can't figure it out. And it wasn't just like it was like a tune. It wasn't just it was a tune. It was a song. And that was, and I wasn't the only one that had an experience that night. So that was very, very, very fun, creepy, interesting. And then but my favorite episode for this upcoming season so far is, and I really, really, I don't know, I have not seen the footage, so I don't know what we managed to capture. I just really hope we did capture the thing that I hope we captured. And that is when we go to cenotes, again, in another Mexico episode further on down the line. I don't know when they're going to air it, but they're it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen up to this point.
It's in the comments, so I'm going to bring it up here. Someone said that you mentioned in Vegas there was an episode you're really excited for. You wouldn't say what happened, but it blows the video of the figure at the fort away.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about with the cenotes. So if we listen, I'm not holding a camera, and a lot of times these things happen when I least expect them to happen. So you just kind of gotta hope that we caught something. But if we did, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Then whoa, because I've never seen it. Like it truly, like I just don't know what it was. I don't know. I mean, I know what I think it was, but I just don't. I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think it was for 4 years, 2014 to 2018, you did Bizarre States, 209 episodes. Is that about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I know people want to know what's going on with Bizarre States. Where are we? Lay it on us.
I mean, honestly, at this point, your guess is as good as mine. No, so Bizarre States. So after I left Nerdist and came and did Expedition X, we changed the name to Untold Hour, but it was essentially still like the same paranormal podcast. And then we ended up, because we just wanted to kind of have it be its own separate thing. And then the show, once I hit the road and I realized how much time and physical effort it actually takes to shoot the show, I realized I just don't have the ability to do both at the same time. So then we kind of had put Untold Hour on hold, and then pandemic hit, which like reinforced that hold. And then my partner on the show, Bowser, he was working on his own indie film that he was putting together. So we just like got really oddly busy. And so then coming back, I was like, you know what? Let's just it's time to, I just feel like it's time to have Bizarre States just be Bizarre States again. And so where we're at now for Bizarre States, the podcast, is we're trying to see if we can't find the old RSS feed from back in the day from when we were doing the OG version. And so that's kind of where it's held up now. And in the meantime, though, to at least just scratch the itch and to kind of cover some content that I've been wanting to cover, that because I keep a list of things that I think is interesting, I've been making little Bizarre States Resurrected TikToks that I have on my own personal TikTok channel until I get enough followers that I get to unlock the playlist option, I think, and then you can put them in their own individual playlists. I don't know how many more people or followers I need to get, but that's the goal. Is eventually there will be a paranormal playlist section where we'll put all the Bizarre States Resurrected TikToks and any videos that might have to do with the show or things like that. And then eventually, yeah, hopefully we get this RSS thing figured out, and then I'm down to bring Bizarre States back 110%. It's just such a fun way to cover this stuff when I'm not on the road, and still be able to chat with people that are interested in the same things that I'm interested in. So you'll have to be a guest once we get going.
Yeah, anytime. What are some of the creepiness, kookiness, high strangeness? What are the things, the mysteries out there that are piquing your interest right now? I feel like I know the answer to a couple of these
Ooh,
things, but
yeah. Well, because I like history and I do a lot of, and I'm doing the occult studies, a lot of my like old historical occult bios of people that
mhm,
had like really pushed the boundaries in that space. I'm kind of covering them. So there was one named Amy, I think I'm saying her name correctly, Amy McPherson, who was here in LA that started a church way back in the day, and then she ended up running away, faking her own death, and
mhm.
then running away with her boyfriend. And it's just, her story is fascinating. They actually have a movie out, I think, on one of the streaming channels all about it. That's really well done. Jack Parsons, of course, and his ties to JPL is always a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
And then that's those ties to Scientology, because they all knew each other. And so all of that, I've actually, because I have an art background and I really enjoy art history, I'm starting to study a little bit more of the art history of the occult. Toshin recently came out with an outstanding, I think it's Toshin. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not. So FYI, Toshin's occult books are outstanding.
Yeah.
But I can't remember who the publisher is, but it's called The Art of the Occult, and there's like a rainbow triangle on the front of it, and that is a great resource for like really famous occult fine artwork and the people behind it and the meaning behind these different paintings. And I feel like occult artwork is finally starting to kind of get its heyday too in art history and being taken seriously as a like true art form. That's really interesting too. So like even things like I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Alphonse Mucha or Mucha. I think it's Mucha. I always say it wrong. Who we're familiar with those like, you know, mosaic tile kind of advertisements and things of
Mhm.
that from the art new, not art nouveau. What would he have been? Well, whatever, those days. He actually does this huge, amazing, his like non his non advertorial work is very beautiful, and it all revolves around like Slavic mythology.
Yeah.
And because I think he was Polish, maybe, I can't remember. So all of that like Slavic Polish mythology and folklore, and it's fascinating, really well done. So I'm studying that stuff. You know, the government just announced they're going to come out with some more UFO papers, so I'm looking
Uh,
forward to that.
an open session. We're
Yeah.
gonna, I'm excited about it, but I'm also kind of skeptical insofar as, is this just a distraction from other things going on, such as Supreme Court situations? Is
Oh,
it
I'm
just like,
sure it is. Yeah.
hey, yeah, like let's throw them something to, the the celebrity defamation case is not distracting them enough from the
Yeah.
Supreme Court. Let's
Yeah.
give them some UFO stuff.
Let's give them some UFO. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that pendulum could swing either way, right? It could be like on purpose, uh, you know, information to look over here, look at the man behind the curtain, or it could be like, well, you know, we could give them, maybe we could slide some information out and they just don't notice because
Mhm.
they're all wrapped up in the other side of things. Like, I don't know. I leave all that stuff up to, like, I love tracking the UFO alien stuff a lot, but I am nowhere near as well informed in that as some of my other friends are. So I
Yeah.
leave all of that up. Like, I'll hit up my friends that, you know, I know from the UFO space and be like, so what does this really mean? Like, you break it down for me, because it's like, it's too much for my brain to handle. There's too many weird terminologies that I'm unfamiliar with. So I need the watered down version.
It is a lot. It is a
It's a
lot.
lot. It's a lot. I've only got so much room for so much passion, and sometimes some things just have to be a side hobby. And so UFOs, I feel like it's one of my upper side hobbies where I'm like always kind of keeping an eye on it. It shows up in our show every once in a while. It makes sense for me to like be as well informed as possible, but there's just so much back history to it that I just can't keep up. So sometimes I just need some extra help.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm fascinated by it. It's also the part that stokes my cynicism more, not cynicism, but not even skepticism towards the phenomena, but towards the people releasing the information. It's the thing that gets me a little bit more cranky old man at the powers that be and whatnot. But before I let you go, and I know we're running down on time, but I'm wondering if we can play a little game. It's a silly game that I created just yesterday, in fact.
Okay.
Discover, debunk, destroy. Sort of like murders or, marry, screw, kill, but not crass like that. Discover, debunk, destroy. I'm going to list a couple
Like destroy,
paranormal.
like I kill the thing?
Yeah, you eliminate them. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm workshopping this, Jess. Okay. If
Jeez.
this doesn't work, you're the test patient. But I needed another, alliteration. I needed another D word.
Yeah.
So either you give me 3 supernatural or paranormal phenomena. You decide which of the 3 you're going to discover, unveil to the
Okay.
world, debunk, or just get rid of.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go with fairies, trolls, leprechauns. Discover,
Ooh.
debunk, destroy.
Fairies, trolls, leprechauns. Discover trolls. Discover, debunk. Man, discover fairies too, only because I really like fairies and I wish that they were there. Actually, can I just discover all 3 of those?
I like that the first question out of the first test session.
I don't want to destroy any. I like all of those.
I've already broken the okay. All right, just sure.
Okay. God, that one's a hard one though, because I like all 3. If
I'll
I
give you another one.
had to, I guess destroy leprechauns, although it hurts me to do so. Discover fairies, and then although that's really dangerous, and then what was the middle option? Debunk trolls. Sure.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Maybe
the trolls could have been like thieves in hiding to like waylay carriages that came across the bridge or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Nor nasty leprechauns.
I mean, yeah, but I also I like gold, so I don't want to get rid of them. Well, maybe destroy them so I have access to their gold so they can't run off with it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I needed something like, the other game it has to have a kill element, so it's destroy, okay, Bigfoot, Nessie, Jersey Devil.
Okay. Gosh. Let's discover Bigfoot. Let's debunk Nessie. And what was the other one?
Destroy Jersey Devil?
Destroy Jersey Devil.
Okay. I'll give you one more.
Which Bowser, my co-host on Bizarre States, is going to be so mad because that's his favorite cryptid.
Hey, look, I love Jersey Devil too, and I live in New York. I feel like he's kind of close to a hometown guy. Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy.
Ooh. Man, you're picking hard ones. Let's discover Santa because it's Santa. That's cool. I like presents. Let's debunk the Tooth Fairy because, we all have that happen to us at some point in time. And then let's destroy the Easter Bunny only because I don't really like chocolate.
Wow. Okay.
That's my only reason.
Do you like Peeps?
No, I don't like Peeps either.
Wow.
I only like sour candy.
Okay, there's sour. Isn't there sour Easter? I guess not really. It's not really known for that. Okay.
No, I mean, I buy sour Easter candy, but I always end up, it's a lot of chocolate.
Yeah. So I guess we heard it here first that Jessica Chobot is willing to destroy the Easter Bunny because of her own personal dislike of chocolate and preference for sour candy. Sorry, kids of the world. Easter
Well,
Bunny's got to
hey,
go.
listen, now they got Santa, and Santa's been like completely reinforced. So, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, pick one.
Right. And Santa, yeah, no competition for Santa
And
now.
Santa also brings candy. Like,
True.
it's not like you don't get candy at Christmas time.
True. See, I like it. Okay, see, it started off a little bit rough, but I think ultimately the game came together, and I appreciate
There's logic to my madness.
I love it. And well, in the meantime, Bizarre States Resurrected. People can check that out on your TikTok channel, and that's just at Jessica Chobot.
That's it. Yep.
And you're on Twitter and Instagram, all the places.
Yeah, if you want to interact with me more, there's a Discord channel you can go on, which has like a really good community, and we all are really, really nice to each other. And I hop in when I can. Most of my time I spend on Instagram, TikTok. I post a lot of work stuff there, but that's kind of it these days. And then same with Facebook, but I do have stuff across the board if you're interested. So
I think people are interested, and they should also be interested in Expedition X because that is returning for a new season on Wednesday, May 25th at 9 p.m. on Discovery and Discovery Plus. And it is a really great season premiere episode. The UFO episode and volcanoes and El Popo, and I'm not going to try to say it again, but it's a really strong episode. And Jess, look, it's just such a pleasure talking with you. It's so enjoyable, and anytime you want to come back, you're welcome. Let's just have more nerdy chats.
Yeah, hit me up. There's a whole bunch, like we said, like paranormal stuff's taken off these days. So there's a lot more strange video games, weird paranormal, creepy video games that are coming out too that we could talk about if you ever want to do a video game discussion.
I would love to. We're gonna set up some paranormal therapy.
Yes.
and some paranormal video game chat and all of it. So just hang out backstage, and I will talk with you again soon. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And guys, thank you for joining Jessica Chobot. She's so great. Just such an informed person and a great nerd. And I'm happy to have her on here. And you really should check out Expedition X. It's a strong season coming up, and I just like the adventure and travel component of it as well, which sadly I don't think we get enough of in the paranormal shows out there. So don't forget to subscribe to this show, Talking Strange. Download each week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to find podcasts. You can check out our video interviews at youtube.com/denofgeekus. Give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and on Patreon, and also at Talk Strange Pod on Twitter. And friends, until next time, be kind, stay spooky, and keep it weird.